Mr. President.
Thank you very much, members of the media, the officials of the EFF, commissars of the Central Command Team, fellow South Africans. The Economic Freedom Fighters will hold its second National People's Assembly on the 13th to the 16th of December 2019, here at the Johannesburg Expo Center, Nasrec. We are here to categorically assure all delegates, guests and members of the media that all systems are ready and in place to hold a successful second National People's Assembly. The Leadership Collective is satisfied that an absolute majority of EFF members, particularly delegates, leaders of regions, provinces and the CCT, have thus far conducted themselves with maximum discipline and in line with the guidelines adopted by the Central Command Team to guide the process towards the National People's Assembly. We commend the delegates and further emphasize that they should not fall victim of agent provocateurs, information peddlers, and spies whose intentions are not consistent with the building an organization that is a weapon in the hands of black people, the working class and the poor in South Africa, Africa and the diaspora. All assembly workers, including the staff, media, security, will take place on the 9th of December 2019 at the University of Johannesburg, Soweto campus from 10 o'clock. All other media that will not have registered on the 9th will be allowed to register on the 12th of December 2019 at the UJ Soweto campus. International guests will be received by EFF protocol at the airport and will register on the 12th and 13th of December 2019. We have invited all embassies in South Africa and confirmation of attendance closes on the 30th of November 2019, meaning that confirmations that come post this date will not be accepted. All delegates from branches, regions, provinces and the Central Command Team will register and be accredited on the 13th of December 2019, and all delegates should strictly produce a barcoded identity document or will not be registered. When done with registration, all delegates will be allocated to the accommodation places, which will be different hotels across Johannesburg. Transportation to and from the assembly's venue will strictly be through the provided shuttles so as to avoid unnecessary traffic congestion and fatigue drivers, since some of the sessions might take longer than anticipated. We appointed the Institute of Electoral Management Services in Africa as the independent electoral body that will oversee all electoral processes of the Second National People's Assembly. The Institute of Election Management Services in Africa is a reputable election management agency founded by the former Independent Electoral Commission Deputy Chairperson Terry Zelan. As stated in the EFF guidelines of the NPA, all nominations and voting for leadership will take place at the Assembly. Discussion documents for the Assembly have been publicly issued and sent to all members of the EFF. The key highlights of the discussion document included in the following: 1. Organizational character and redesign. The organizational character and redesign perspective is styled as an organic contribution to how the EFF ought and should be positioned as an impactful political party of the working class and as a party that must win political power from those who have it now, capture the state, take the economy and redistribute it equally amongst all people. The perspective further makes proposals on what is to be done, including organizational redesign on constitutional structures and constitutional amendment. 2. Land and agrarian reform. The land and agrarian reform perspective, anchored on the founding manifesto as the first cardinal pillar of the EFF, looks at the solutions of the land in South Africa as the most important resolution needed for the emancipation of all South Africans and the ushering of the economic freedom in this lifetime. The perspective also discusses agrarian reform and makes proposals. 3. On gender struggles. The perspective on gender struggle acknowledges that the struggle for the emancipation of women and the gender non-conforming is one that cannot be divorced from the struggle of black people as the marginalized collectively. The perspective looks at the gender struggles in relation to labor, transgender, discriminatory cultural practices, ukutwala, ukungena, gender-based violence, intimate partner violence, education, sexual reproductive health rights, and other issues, and makes proposal for consideration by the second NPA. Media, communication, and battle of ideas. The perspective on media, communication, and battle of ideas looks at the overview of media and communication in South Africa and makes proposals on high demand spectrum, improvement of the public broadcaster, curbing of multi-choice domination, transformation of the out-of-home advertising, critique of South African journalism and Stratcom phenomenon, and the improvements of EFF communications. On health and education. The health and education perspective looks at the overview of public health, education in South Africa, makes a diagnosis of current challenges facing health and education, and makes proposals on repurposing the public healthcare system to focus more on primary healthcare, reopening of nursing colleges, and establishment of ward-based or polyclinics. In education, the perspective makes proposal on early childhood teaching focus, teachers training, free quality decolonized education, and alignment of skills to economic productive sectors. On Pan-Africanism and progressive internationalism. The perspective on Pan-Africanism and progressive internationalism looks at ultimate integration of the African continent through erosion and eventually elimination of unnecessary borders to build a united Africa. The perspective makes proposal on Pan-African Parliament, Pan-African Court on People and Human Rights, and African Standby Military Force. On the economy, perspective on economy provide a diagnosis of South Africa's economic crisis, in particular racialized economy, and makes proposal on natural resources, state-owned companies, fourth industrial revolution, energy stabilization, amongst other proposals. On state capacity, the discussion document provides a diagnosis of South Africa's state and dispels the myth of a developmental state. The perspective makes proposal on how to repurpose the state as a driver of economic development, insourcing and intrastate procurement, introduction of strategic equity partners for state-owned enterprises, and other aspects necessary to build a capable state. On justice system, the justice system makes an important reflection on the current state of justice and legal system in the context of the role it plays as a component of the state. The perspective makes proposal on the role of the courts, our correctional services, and Chapter 9 institutions. On sports, arts, and culture. Sports, arts, and culture perspective provide the current state of affairs and make proposal on transformation of sports, arts, and culture. These documents will form part of the second NPA and will be dispersed to all EFF structures and members of society to access and make contribution towards a socialist society where all South Africans can share in the wealth of our country. These discussion documents are not final policy position of the EFF until they are duly adopted by the second NPA. We encourage EFF members to engage respectfully, observe code of conduct, remain disciplined, and make written submission by email to a discussion document. Email address is indicated there. The WhatsApp and SMS number is also provided. All members of society are welcomed and encouraged to also make a contribution. Conference agenda and rules. The conference will open on day 1, Friday, 2019, is arrival and registration. The second day, Saturday, 14 December, the session will be chaired by the chairperson. Then we'll have Nkosigalele Africa, interfaith prayers, then have a welcome address by provincial chairperson, political report by the CIC, messages of support which will be conducted by the DP. And then we'll have lunch, then go to the second session, which will be shared by the chairperson. This session will be a closed session. I see that they wrote an open session. It's a closed session. Presentation and adoption of credentials, presentation and adoption of NPA rules and procedures, organizational report by Secretary General, and the financial report by Treasurer General. discussions will take place after the two reports are presented. The likelihood is that the organizational report will be an open session. The problem is the logistics. They will deal with it on the day. How do we get the media to come and listen to the organizational report? After organizational report, they leave, then we get the treasurer's report. Then the discussions of the two will be in a closed session. Then there will be presentation of constitutional amendments in plenary, which will be conducted by the Deputy President. It will be an open session. The nomination of the top 6, which will be conducted by IMSA, it will be an open session. Then day 3, it will be an open session, announcements of the top 6 result, nomination of additionals, and organizational redesign plenary presentation by the Deputy President, outlining of commissions. All of that will be done in an open session. The commissions will take place under the closed session. That's where the real discussion will take place. And then plenary session, which is an open session chaired by the Treasurer General. That Treasurer General will be a new Treasurer General. Yes. Report will be from commissions will be presented. Day 4, which is the last day, it will be an open session chaired by the Deputy President. Commissions will continue to report. A declaration of the National People's Assembly will be read to the plenary by the Deputy Secretary General. And then announcements will also be made by the Deputy Secretary General. Acceptance and closing address by the newly elected President of the EFF. Therefore, the conference will now be closed. Lunch will be served and delegates will go back to their respective places. The Assembly rules highlight the fact that we expect maximum discipline from all delegates and guests and will decisively isolate all disruptive elements that will attempt to divert or undermine the purpose of the National People's Assembly. The draft rules and the agenda will be published in the EFF website and accessible via all official social media platforms of the EFF. The EFF is concerned by the rising levels of unemployment and lack of believable strategy on how this should be addressed. The Assembly will fine-tune the so many proposals we have tabled on how the economy should be managed and how jobs should be created to defeat poverty and inequality that continue to ravage South African society. We are concerned by the coordinated and deliberate plan to sideline and marginalize black professionals in the state-owned companies, particularly the reality that such is underpinned by the ANC intention to break these companies so that they can privatize them. Most recently, this found expression is the appointment of the white male as the CEO of Eskom, whose performance track record is dismal. We are further concerned by the mismanagement of the public resources illustrated by the huge amounts of irregular expenditure and failure of the so-called New Dawn to provide clear direction to the state-owned enterprises. The reality is that the current administration has wrong intentions and will not be able to stabilize the economy of South Africa. We reaffirm our position that the EFF will fill the candidate for the mayoral position of Johannesburg when the current mayor vacates his position on the 27th of November 2019. The Second People's Assembly should be defined by a battle of ideas and thoughts, which should ideologically and politically characterize our current challenges, analyze the domestic and global balance of forces, and provide solutions on what is to be done. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, CIC. We are going to take questions from yourselves. So let me identify hands. My guy with the roving mic in the yellow. This will be number 1. Number 2 at the back. Okay, number 1.
Hello, CIC. Lisa Tano from News 24. CIC, I looked at your discussion document and it said nothing about coalition government. And going into 2021, I would think that this would be one of the integral points that you need to discuss in the NPA. I'm wondering, why is it? Do you not see it as feasible to discuss at this point coalitions? And in terms of you going forward with, to the Johannesburg mayoral, having a mayoral candidate, it goes in line with the coalition discussion. Have you been speaking to any of the opposition parties? Are you willing to go into a coalition or informal partnership with the ANC or the DA, given your stance before? Third question is on your redesign of the organization. You pointed out a couple of weaknesses that you have. You spoke about branches that do not meet. You spoke about CCT committees that are not fully functional, members who cannot articulate the party's politics. Does this mean that the party should start its own political school to kind of outline itself to its own members? And how do you combat this possible decay in the party so early on? My fourth question, I'm sorry, my fourth question. Yeah. Sorry, I only get a few chances to speak to the EFF. Just, my fourth question is around your organizational maturity that you say is necessary for the organization to grow by forming youth wings and women's wings. Some people within the organization have been saying that it is because you don't want to form these wings, because for fear that the power that you have, you might lose that power if the EFF is extended. Is this so, or is it because of the reason that these wings haven't been formulated as yet? Is it because of a lack in the SGO's office and incompetence in the SGO's office?
Okay, thank you, Lizega. Gavin.
Thank you. It's Gavin from ENCA. Okay, so Mr. Malema, you began by saying, by calling on the EFF members to be on guard against agent provocateurs, spies, in the run-up to the conference. I don't know if you can give us a few examples of what are you talking about? What kind of efforts have there been to destabilize the conference? And then on the organizational redesign, Mr. Malema, you had addressed EFF members who were students a while back, where you had said that you intend to argue for the dissolution of the Students' Command. Maintain that position? You elaborate on why that's the case? And if you can take this question more directly, so there's been speculation that there will be a leadership fight at the EFF's National People's Assembly. I'll try to put it as directly as possible. They're saying that the chairperson, Advocate Dalimpoff, will contest you for your position as president, and that there are a number of top 6 leaders that won't return. It's being framed as the EFF leadership vying for positions. What do you make of this assessment of the upcoming People's Assembly? Thank you.
Okay, President, 2 only.
2 with many questions.
Okay. All right, you can respond, CSC.
Thank you very much. The coalition government is in the governance report to the plenary. That's where we'll discuss in the organizational report of the SG. What is our experience? What is the way forward? Do we want to participate? If we participate, how do we participate? So that discussion is located there. But equally, in the building of the state capacity, that's where as well governance it is discussed in terms of how do you want to strengthen the state, how do you want to participate in things like coalition government. We're not talking to anyone in Johannesburg. We're going to field candidates. People are fielding candidates without talking to anyone. So it looks like that's how it works. So let's just all field candidates. DA has fielded a candidate. They've now spoken to us and all that. And there is nonsense I'm not prepared to entertain of supporting the DA and all. We supported the DA. And DA is their turn now to support the EFF. it's only fair. Why should we always support the white man? Why can't the white man find it in himself to support a black man? We supported the DA. The only fair thing the DA, guys, you tried, you gave it to us, we failed. Our guy left, and therefore we now support you. We're not going to do that. So instead of asking us, are you going to support the DA? Why not asking the DA, are you going to support the EFF?
Yeah.
Is it automatic that a black man must support a white man? It's not going to happen that. So we are also not talking to the ANC. If the ANC wants to come on board, it must come on board supporting the EFF. Why should it be who is the EFF going to support? Are we not leaders? Are we not capable enough to lead? Why is the question? Why the question is always, who is the EFF going to support? I'm not asking the question to these other parties, are going to support the EFF? So we are going to field a candidate. We're going to contest. And we call upon the DA to support our candidate, the ANC to support our candidate. The DA also that we supported their candidate before, and their candidate left them. It's not our problem. We are now here, so they must support us. Organizational redesign. Well, the conference will debate if there's a need for political school or anything of that sort. And I'll argue in the conference, there's no need of any structure, new structures. I see proposals of so many structures. There's absolutely no need. If anything, we should be talking about reducing structures. But I'll make that argument in the conference. I don't see anything wrong that the structures of the EFF have done in the past 5 years. So if you are to introduce sub-regions, for instance, as constitutional structures, you are introducing more bureaucracy and making it difficult for the organization to work as a unitary organization. So the EFF is one. There's no EFF of Gauteng. There's no EFF of Limpopo. It's one. There's EFF of South Africa. But this regionalistic mentality and tribalistic mentality of wanting to create a lot of structures is myopic and not political and not consistent with what we have to achieve. Doing away with provinces, doing away with regions, having a unitary state. So we should start that with the EFF. Not with this introduction of many structures by lazy people who don't even launch those structures. So this bureaucracy, you must know, every time you introduce a layer in the organization, people think they've got power. And every time you want to intervene, no, as a sub-region. As a sub-region of sub-region. As a sub-branch. We can't have that. Let's make it easy. That's why people challenge the decisions of the EFF which are taken central, because of a lot of bureaucratical structures which create an impression, advocating both, or expectations that people have got some power, some federalism. There's no such a thing in the EFF. There's one EFF. It's being commanded from a central point. I make that point all the time, so that those who joined without reading and they are lazy to read, they only listen to speeches. Let's repeat it more often so they can hear that there's only one center, and that center is the CCT. The rest are helping. The Constitution makes that point. They are subordinates of the higher structure. So there's actually no need for that. We are at a formative stage. Let's deal with the leaks. You know, we started the EFF. It's very, very painful to form a political party. And if I were to be asked, will you do it again? I won't do it again. It's very difficult. We are at a formative stage. These leaders of the EFF, you know, coerced us into forming a student command. Premature. Now we are seized with an animal called the student command. which can't do anything without the mother body. If there are elections, we have to be there. If Mbuyiseni doesn't go, if Fana doesn't go, if Deputy President doesn't go, they lose elections. For them to win, we have to be there. Why? Because there is no organizational history, tradition and culture, because we're a new organization. They've got nothing to learn from. Instead of us being patient and not suffer from political excitement, we got ourselves into trouble. Now we have a student command which can't do anything. The SG will report in his report. They've got less than 15%, if not less than 10% of branches in the total of campuses we have in South Africa. Why? The mother body must go and launch those branches. So if we can launch the branches, what is the point of the student command? So you don't want to form 2 organizations or 3 organizations, no, 4. The mother body, the student command, the league, the 2 leagues. Because they are organizations on their own. We have to now form 4. That's what you're asking me. And if I don't do that, it means I will be challenged. Because he doesn't want to form them, he's scared he will be challenged. I can't form 4 organizations at the same time. And it's not only 4. There are others, by the way, who are calling for the union. They're saying the EFF must have its own union. When that union fails, Malema fails to form a union. When it wins, EFF union wins. When it fails, it's Malema. When it's victory, it's EFF. When it fails, it's my family name. And then when I'm hesitant, yeah, you are scared they're going to challenge you. I'm not scared of any challenge. Those who think they can challenge me, they can come and sit here. Let's see what they will do. They've not done anything. They were given opportunities. They've not done anything for this organization. We can leave and go back to our farms and look after cattle. Let them run it. But, sorry, I'm not going to sit here and allow mushrooming of organizations which I will be judged on as an individual who's leading this organization. That no, during your term, so many organizations were formed, they were all a failure, including this motherboard. There are 2 regions, by the way, which have not been launched since the formation of the EFF, DP.
Yes, Amatole
and Ukashang. There's no EFF region there. Since 2013. Why? We're still in a formative stage. We launched branches. After launching those branches, when you go back after 3 months, those branches have disappeared. Why? We're at a formative stage. When you ask those people, what happened? Hey, after being elected, we didn't know what to do. Many of them are joining politics for the first time with the EFF. So you have to consistently go back there, educate. Not because they don't have interest, they don't know where to start. Some of them don't even know their own branches. They only know the word where they come from. They say, where I come from? The EFF is powerful. You know what? It's very powerful. We're going to win there. When we say, okay, come. Here, there's a community meeting. Let's go to the next one. Is there beyond the mountains? Our branch ends here. This is a VD. It's not a branch. We have to go that side. 70 kilometers from where this chap comes from. No mobility, no money, no nothing. They can't even go to the next one. In the Northern Cape, it's even worse. A VD in one ward can be, the next one can be 150 kilometers from the other one. So we're at a formative stage. So we're still forming the EFF. The EFF is not yet fully formed. And many of you made that mistake of wanting to judge the EFF as if is a 100-year-old organization. The same standard you want to judge the EFF, you don't put those standards on IFP, on UDM, on DA, on COPE, on that one of the lady from NFP. You don't do that. In 5 years' time, we exist in almost all wards. And the question is the SGO incompetent and inefficient? In 5 years' time, this type of organization were formed all over the country. None, no organization, not even PAC, not even AZAPO, not even the SACP has done what we have done. No one has challenged the ANC toe to toe on the ground, village by village, street by street, township by township, including suburbs, by the way. It's very rare to walk into any voting station. That report will be there in the conference. It's very rare to find a voting station without an EFF vote. Very rare. We are in every voting station. That's what we're building here. I'm persuaded to agree. And remember, Chair, when I say I mean me. I can be defeated that I expressed a view on the student command. But that view can be defeated in the National People's Assembly. It's a view I hold. The comrades may say, well, we are here now. There's nothing we can do. Let's go on and see where it will take us to. But I'm persuaded on the formation of the Women's Command. Not because there's been a thorough political work to produce a creme de la creme of women in the EFF. No. We're still working on that as well. We're still working on getting politically charged and politically clarified women and youth and men in the EFF. But the support the EFF is getting from females, perhaps it can change if there is a women organization that focuses specifically on women. Because EFF support on women is pathetic, is very bad. Mbuzeni can open it there on the Facebook. If you look at just on Facebook, what does it say?
24%.
24% of followers of EFF on Facebook, 24% is women. Facebook, because Facebook gives you that stats quickly. On Instagram,
26%.
On Instagram, 26% women following EFF account. Perhaps if we get a women's formation that specifically focuses on women, perhaps we can get more women to support the EFF. The more women maybe we get into the top 6 of the EFF, into the leadership of the EFF, perhaps more women will be attracted in the EFF. The more responsibility we give to women, spokespersons, someone's job is being threatened and things like that, you know, perhaps women will be attracted. If we have a president who's a woman in the EFF, perhaps more women will be attracted. Those are the things we may want to consider in this conference. So really it's not about fear. It's about looking at material condition. Is the material condition conducive enough to now start a new organization so that you don't find yourself failing because you gave yourself more responsibilities? By the way, the previous mandate of the NPA was that we must form the 2 leagues, and we're going back to give an account that we didn't. And we may be punished for that. That why didn't you do it? We'll give an explanation. Infiltration, while we're going to a conference, there is no way Jamnandas' people will not try to attack the strong opponents of Jamnandas and the establishment. So, any organization, if you are forming a national organization that seeks to contest power, You can't be aloof and want to create an impression that there won't be people who infiltrate you and agent provocateurs and things like that. We are not paranoid. We just making people aware those are the possibilities. As said, we are going to a conference. There's contestation in the EFF. And I'm worried that the fight is peddled by you, the media. That people are fighting when people are contesting each other. See, they are contesting each other, not fighting. Why do you do that? When they don't contest, no, Malema is a dictator, Malema is a cult. The idea. When people are contesting, they are fighting. When people are not contesting, it's a cult, it's Malema's dictatorship. Yesterday, after seeing this tweet, I went to the court there with the leadership of the EFF. And I was like, maybe I'm being naive. CD says there are people who are fighting in the EFF and all of that, Matoroki C and Mabiano. Where is that? Because I try to check on Twitter, I'm on Twitter, it's not there. I'm not on Facebook. And someone says my account on Facebook is dividing people, the country is divisive. I'm like, I don't have a Facebook account. My Twitter account even says that. I don't have a Facebook account. So I only have Twitter and Instagram. I don't have a Facebook account. So some said there's a fight on Facebook. Others said, it's not by our members. There are some one or two elements which claim to be EFF members, Musholozi and Goba. They're not our members. They can jump and try to do whatever they want to do. They will see our conference on TV. They are not our members. They like it or not. They are not EFF members. So, why should we entertain spooks? People who are masquerading as EFF members when they are not. They are not our members. Our members are having a dignified discussion on leadership. The City Press quoted the other one from Alexander. It's a good way of engaging in circulating amongst themselves and say, guys, let's have a discussion. It's not a discussion on social media platform. It's to try and be creative about creating a conversation towards a conference. It's an acceptable method of engagement. And he makes a point that don't even distribute my document to social media or in public. He says he doesn't want leaders who go to Durban in July. He doesn't want this, he doesn't want that. He's got the right here to come and elect leaders who only preside over initiation schools and things like that. But I've never signed for an organization that will tell me who to date, what to wear, which party to attend. I will never. No one can tell me that. Not even my wife can tell me that. That you can't go there, you can't wear this way. I've never signed for that nonsense. So let me elect a leader that will march the whole day in the streets of Alex. If that is the leadership he's looking for. It's a conversation, so it's fine. Let's have that conversation. And he's got all the right to start that conversation. He's got all the right to come and elect that imaginary leader is God in his mind here on the 13th to the 16th of December. There is contestations. I'm aware of the meetings that are taking place. I'm aware of people who are being asked bank accounts so that monies can be sent into their accounts and all of that. I'm aware of those things. Some of the people who have sent actually ourselves as the leadership to participate in those meetings because we must expel these people who are sending money to individuals. So we've sent them to those meetings. Accounts have been provided to the people who are intending to send money. So once money is sent, we shall publish that. We know even the people who are going to send money because we completely discourage money.
Yeah.
And anything that deals with money, we're going to deal with it decisively. We won't waste time on that one. So leadership has met where it met. Account numbers have been collected. People are going to be sent money. We are following that up. We were not worried about that. People must contest within the guidelines of the EFF, which make it very simple and easy for contestation. But once you use money, it means you want to buy the EFF. And I saw an article where it says people are buying iPhones, and that's lie. I think there is a lady in City Press who's trying to be relevant, and she's being fed lies. It's a lie. Because a simple thing you do with iPhones is, who got the iPhone, my friend? Can I see the iPhone?
Yeah.
How was it procured? It's your source. Your source must be able to show you, this is the receipt, this is where it was bought, this is how it was transported. Satisfy yourself. But for a person to just say, hey, Dalumpofu bought me iPhone, and then you go and write that. You go and write that. You have not even seen the iPhone. The guy is using Scoroball phone. Sometimes your source you can't even reach because he uses a bad phone. This new iPhone of 3, this one, that one, TG. This one of cameras is called Dilostofo. It has got 3 plates. Stofo get the plate. Dilostofo. I'm told this one is 30,000. So when you buy that one, when you buy the EFF delegates Dilostofo, who's got that in the EFF, such capacity to buy people iPhone 11? For real. Because Mondley should ask this journalist, are you sure it's iPhone 11? Dilostofo for real? 11,000. And then let's say you are going to buy 30,000 delegates. That is 1.5 million. 1.5 million phones. Where will you get that? 105 million. Not 1.5, 105 million. Where will you get that? So, in the EFF, it's a lie. You can see it's a lie. Guys, expose the fights in the EFF. Write anything you want to write about the EFF. But don't fall for a lie. You ought to be inquisitive. Where is the cell phone? Where was it procured? So I'm saying to you, there is money. But I can't say so and so is dishing out money until I get that proof, which we'll get if the money gets deposited. Because it doesn't matter whether they deposit cash at the ATM, whether they deposit inside, there are cameras there. That money will clock and say 11 past 11 at this branch. Then we'll go and ask for the camera at 11 past 11 to identify if there is any of our people we know there. And they will have to explain why they deposited that money into the accounts of EFF members. Where's the student command? People want to corrupt the students, teach them factional politics at a young age. They are not even ashamed to caucus with kids and say to kids, we are going to deposit the money into the account. What a shame. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's attempt the second round. Number 1. Please remember your numbers. Or should I do alphabets? You'll be fine with numbers. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. Let's do. You'll come here. Busi, you'll be number 7, that's fine.
Silence is messing up with
Let's go.
Okay, Natasha Piri here from SABC. So just going back to the issue of Johannesburg Mayor. So you say that you're not in talks with the ANC in council, the DA in council. Instead, you're asking for their support. So my question is, how confident are you that the candidates that you'll field will actually, replace Fatima? And furthermore, do you think that the city of Johannesburg is actually ready to have a mayor that comes from the EFF? Thank you.
In front of you, number 2.
Yeah, thank you, Mawala, with UFM and news agency Newsnote. You know, the relationship with the DA, you've been voting with them, and in my view, they've been consistently pushing you, lining you up with the ANC as the corrupt parties that are intent on forming some kind of alliance. How aggrieved did you feel, especially with the removal of Herman Mashaba, and was that a deal breaker in the sense of you also answering on the future of the mayor of Tshwane, whether you're going to bail out on him as well? And then secondly, as an addition, this politics of enemy of my enemy is my friend, I think that's what supposedly ended you in a situation where you are voting with the DA. What conditions do you have, particularly for the ANC, if they were to approach you, either now for these hanging municipalities or looking at 2021? What conditions do you have for them?
Okay, next.
Kotato Manisa from the Sowetan. Mr. Malema, in your contestation, there's a possibility of losing. What would be your next move if you were to lose? Do you think you can survive without any form of power or politics?
Okay, number 3. Is here.
I'm from Sunday Times. But my name, on your last point that you made around leaders who are making payments, are some of them on the top table that we're looking at? And have you instituted any disciplinary action? Would you be able to name and shame them right now? Secondly, who is this EFF candidate that you are fielding? The name, please, if you may be able to provide for the city of Johannesburg. And then back to the discussion documents, there is on organizational redesign and character, there is a part that talks about the proposal for the top 6 to be given juristic powers to sign contracts and stuff like that. I can't remember the exact wording. Would you please expand on that point as to what is the intention for that particular proposal? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Just to follow up on the 2 questions that have been asked by my colleagues. Will the EFF candidate come from within the Joburg Council? I think my colleague here from the Sunday Times asked the question. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, and thank you for taking my question. It's Bonolo from Network 24. My colleagues touched on the issue about the name of the mayoral candidate that you want to field. But my second question, the EFF has about 30 seats in council, so you cannot install your mayor, without votes from other political parties. In other words, you have to speak to either the DA or the EFF. The DA or the ANC. How soon will those discussions take place? Thank you. And who do you want to speak to as well?
Okay. At the back there, Busi.
Yes. Busi Chumamba from the SABC. I wanted to find out exactly how many delegates are going to be at your at the conference in December. That's my first question. My second question is that you have bemoaned some of the difficulties you're having with your branches. Are you anticipating any problems in terms of accreditation? Mr. Malema, you've spoken very passionately about the need for a kind of a women's league. In terms of your policies, are you going to be suggesting perhaps some kind of representation going forward, whether it be 50%, 30%, 10%, in terms of your proposals? And then reading your policies, I noticed that there is a proposal that there be 8 new SOEs that are established within the country. And I'm just I'm just questioning if you're not concerned, given the track record of the SOEs in South Africa so far, whether you think that's actually a viable or a desirable option.
Excellent. CIC.
Thank you very much. We are going to field our candidate in Joburg, and the leadership will announce the name in the due course. We're not talking to the DA or the ANC, and we're not saying we won't talk, we will talk, but on condition they support the EFF candidate. We are not prepared to support other candidates now. We think we are ready to govern Joburg. And really that anyone who wants our support now, we are prepared to listen to who's taking Joburg and who's taking. Whoever says we support EFF in Joburg will be able to support the same person in Tshwane. So we are now going to govern. We are not playing. You support us in Joburg, we support you in Tshwane. That's the only condition we have. And we are not going to enter coalitions. You lead Tshwane exclusively, we lead Joburg exclusively. So there is no interference with each other. We are just opposition in those municipalities. That's how it's going to be done. If it's going to be done with the ANC, so be it. If it's done with the DA, so be it. But this mess we find ourselves in is not a mess that was created by the EFF. The voter was undecided, and therefore no voter should say, but why do you give so and so this? Why do you never voted for the EFF to go and give anyone anything? If you wanted to vote for the DA, why didn't you vote for them? Because in our manifesto, we never said vote for us, we'll vote with the DA in the municipality or the ANC in the municipality. We never said that. So you voted for us and will use the weapon we have to strengthen our position as the EFF to make sure that we continue to be. And if none of them is going to and it ends there. When the budget comes, if it doesn't have our issues, we'll not vote in favor of that budget. But if the budget comes and you come to us and say, what do you want to say to you? In-source workers, do this, do that, and you put all our demands in the budget, and it's a people's driven budget, we'll vote for it. But to expect us to be a reliable voting partners of a white DA, you know, that time it was easy, man. It was easy to talk to Musimaimani, you know, that type of thing. Now to go and talk to Helen. If you don't want to talk to Helen, you must talk to Stengeze. We can't understand each other really. So it's a problem. It's a big problem. We don't find ourselves. So to avoid it, remember when you are in a coalition with people, you must now meet time to time with the same people. So it means meeting time to time with Helen. Magogo, Helen, who must be meeting all the time with Metal. I can't imagine that. It's going to be very painful. It was very painful to talk to Musi and DA people and all that. But then you had Joburg mayor who now went beyond the DA politics. Mashaba was not DA. Mashaba was a community leader. He didn't care who's got a good idea. Once it's good, he takes it and he goes with it. Mashaba told you in a press conference, the DA fought with him for listening to the EFF. So why would you not want to work with such a man? That one of Tshwane with ugly suits, he has never met EFF, that guy. Not once. Nothing. He operates like he's got a majority in that municipality. We're just waiting for the ANC to put a motion of no confidence on that guy. We're going to vote with them to remove him. But as to voting for a new mayor, we won't vote with them. Unless they adhere to our condition of giving us Joburg, then they take time. That mayor of floral suits, he has never, not once, spoken to EFF. And that's how he thinks he's powerful. So we don't have time for that one with floral suits. If there's anything that must be removed, is those floral arrangements of Swan. The flowers. We must remove the flowers. Well, my brother, my next move is politics. I'll always be in politics. I'll die in politics. So I really, if you are removed from a position, you are not expelled. You are removed from a position. And if I'm removed in December, I'm a member of parliament for the next 5 years. So I'll remain a member of parliament and continue to make my contribution in parliament. The party has deployed me in parliament. So we're not electing new members of parliament in December. We're electing CCT. There is a difference. And anyone who's going to stand in the CCT with a hope that you will go to parliament, then forget, because members of parliament are already there. They're in parliament, there's nothing you can do. But just go back to my track record. I can see you are new in these things of journalism. So we thank Sowetan for creating employment for young people. Just go and check my track record. I've never lost a conference. You should know that. Not only in the youth or EFF, even in the ANC. When I said this what is going to happen, it happened exactly how I said it's going to happen. Yeah, I don't think it's old archives. You don't have to go very far. They are recent. I don't even think they've got dust. You can also call me Bonnie. I think it's one of the old journalists there in Sowetan. If she's still there, she can give you some clarity of my background. So that imagination is just do away with it so that you are less troubled. But how do I say someone gave people money? I said the money is still going to be. Chalo, why would I say this one gave money to this one? The report is that the money is coming, the accounts have been circulated. So you don't want to accuse people before you get evidence. No, you don't stop it. Why must you stop it? No, but you must catch criminals. You must catch criminals. So let's talk extortion, right? When you open a case of extortion, there's a setup that gets be done so that we catch the culprit with evidence. What if this person who says to us, they said we must give bank accounts and all that, what if he's lied to us? And then I say DP said he's going to give people money. What if, and then he creates divisions amongst leaders of the EFF? What if he's not there? That's why I'm saying to you, when you deal with the iPhone story, get evidence. I can't say to you get evidence and I don't get evidence myself. And then, no, he's dealing with Dalimpofu because Dalimpofu was going to contest him. That's why he says Dalimpofu is giving people money, iPhones. No, I can't. Until Dalimpofu gives the money, and I say, no, check. Here is the money, and this guy says you're buying the votes from him. How do you explain? Here's your phone, and What's your explanation of this? So you don't just get excited, I've got that. You will divide the organization unnecessarily because you are a victim of information peddlers. Yes. So we are here to deal with that. I honestly don't believe there's anyone in the EFF with such capacity to distribute money and buy cell phones and all that. I don't think there's such a person capable enough to do that. No, the top six struggled with entering contracts. So for instance, we've got a loan, not a bond. We've got a loan with Standard Bank. You know who's the surety there? It's us, as individuals. This one is the biggest surety, the chairperson, because it's the one with more valuable assets. He had to put all those assets as a surety to the loan of the EFF with Standard Bank. So, the Constitution doesn't say the officials of the EFF have got the power to enter contractual agreements with any institution. So the banks are struggling with loaning the EFF money. So that's why we're looking for those types of powers so that we don't struggle in future. But also, we don't struggle with individuals who are serving as surety. Because tomorrow a person says, I want to leave the EFF, and I'm going to withdraw my name there, and then we get into trouble. What are we going to do now? We're thrown out of the building because there is no longer surety. So the organization must have the capacity to stand on its own and provide those type of surety to the people. Our delegates are plus minus 4,000. We don't anticipate any problem with accreditation. Their names are submitted with ID numbers. Their names are captured TG. And a company has been hired to deal with accreditation. That company has got a relationship with this place. They've dealt with a lot of accreditations for this place before. So when you arrive, you produce your ID, they scan your ID, your information appears on the screen, then it takes you a picture, place it on your accreditation, print it, laminate it, and hand it over to you. Each delegate will have an accreditation tag with his or her unique barcode. So when you enter the conference, you're going to be scanned, the barcode will be scanned, and then when you go out, you must also scan your barcode. Because when you enter the conference and come and take 4 name tags of other people and put them in the bag, and you go outside with those 4 tags, when they come in and they are tagged, they will be told, but you are inside. Why are you taking now entry when you are inside? It means someone went to fetch the tags of people inside and go to give other people from outside. But another thing which we don't anticipate a big problem with accreditation or bogus delegates is the transport system. When they enter buses, they will have to show their tags, and they can only access this place through our transport. No one will come with his or a car and claim to be a delegate. So meaning, when a bus has left you, you have missed the session. Because all those who are going to enter the entrances here, they will do so through our buses. Then the media will have your own arrangement and all of that. So no delegate will come from Machi. You enter this place through transport, accredited transport of the conference. You leave this place with accredited transport of the conference. So we don't anticipate a lot of problems. The EFF policy is that in every structure or representation or delegates, there must be 50-50. So coming to this conference is 50-50 from branches. 2 delegates per branch, 50-50. Our CCT is by constitutional requirement, is 50-50. If you go to Parliament list, 50-50. Councils, 50-50. So that's how the EFF has been rolling. We don't have a problem with more state-owned enterprises. We actually need more because we must have internal capacity to build houses. We must have internal capacity to construct roads. We must have our own cement company. We must have our own pharmaceutical company and all those types. So, my sister, in nutshell, we want to do what the Chinese are doing. State-owned companies do not fail. They are failed by corruption. That's why in China, when they find you corrupt, they take you to jail and deal with you decisively. There's another story you need to know about the Chinese. When they are appointed CEO of ESCOM, they put you there as a CEO of ESCOM. They go and fetch your family and take them to prison to go and see people who occupied similar positions like your father and your mother. Or this one was a CEO of ESCOM before your father. Is here lifetime. This one was a CEO of SAA. Is here lifetime. This one in prison. So when you are at home and you come with gifts which your wife doubt or your husband doubt, then just return it back. We don't want what happened to the one who came before you to happen to you. So you must get even the moral support at home. Because some of these people are doing wrong things, because they've got pressure at home. Why is so and so a CEO but driving things better than you? Staying in a house better than you. So the home must be cleared first. This person is leading there. You have a responsibility to give him a moral or her a moral support to do the right thing as a family. Otherwise you lose this person. So there is no enough for government. You can't say there are too many state-owned enterprises. If you want to build a socialist state, then most of the things, especially strategic sectors of the economy, are going to be state-led and driven. Because we want the economy that is owned and controlled by the state. Not only ownership. In Botswana, there is ownership of diamond by the state, but they do not control the diamond. So they don't know how many was produced. They get to be told by the DBS which controls but doesn't own the diamond. So we learn from Botswana that ownership is not important on its own. It goes with control. So if you own a lodge and you give absolute power to a lodge manager, you'll be shocked one day when you come there. There will be a new entrance. They will have closed this one, as now we enter from that side. And your key is not working. You have to call the manager of the lodge. Open, is the owner here? Who's this one? Is the owner, I'm sleeping. You can't do that. You have to own and control. So the EFF, when it says, we want a cement company, we want a steel company, we want a mining company, we want the bank, we don't only mean the shareholding, we mean the control. And the best of the best must be employed to lead these state-owned companies. There's a guy who leads Telco, SIPO. I don't understand when we get into this many troubles with ESCOM and why is SIPO Maseko not SIPO Maseko? SIPO Maseko. That one of Zuma is who? That one of Communication Maseko? Tempa, oh, not that one. SIPO Maseko. Why can't you fetch SIPO Maseko to go and rescue ESCOM or SAA? A man has proved track record. SIPO has got a problem with workers. When he arrived there at Telkom, he did those things he did to workers. Let's have those battles. Those are real battles. There must be those who defend workers. No, you can't train this way. It's a permanent contestation, at the shop floor. That's a problem we must be dealing with. But not incapacitated person, not corrupt individual. You can't find SIPO doing all of that. SIPO was a preferred candidate for Transnet when Siyabonga Gama came in. Right? And the New Dawn exposes that, no, SIPO was a preferred candidate, they brought Siyabonga Gama as if they themselves prefer SIPO. Why are they not going to take SIPO to go and lead Transnet if SIPO was all along the preferred candidate? But SIPO can't go into those things for as long as Praveen is the minister. Because SIPO has got a very strong character. They won't tolerate each other with Praveen. For sure there will even be fiscal fight. Because SIPO doesn't take nonsense. We had a good guy at the SAA. The guy was going to rescue that company, Vuyani. Vuyani made it very clear that if Praveen comes, and the president knows that, if Praveen comes back, I'm leaving. If Praveen comes back as a minister of public enterprise, I'm leaving. Because I'm not given an opportunity to do what I want to do here without the interference of this man, who's the most feared man. And he wanted to meet Cyril. Cyril refused to meet him. Cyril's people were told in my presence that, guys, we're going to lose a lot of black professionals if this guy comes back. They are gone. Many more will be lost. Even in Transnet now, we are told that he wants the preferred person the minister wants, didn't make the list, and therefore the minister doesn't want to consider the ones that are being recommended because his person has not seen the light of the day. The downfall of Cyril will be Praveen Gordhan, who is the Prime Minister of this country with a clear purpose and program. Remove black African managers, replace them with minorities, and the mandate of the minorities is to privatize all state-owned enterprises. Water, electricity, transport, all the basic things that the state is providing. So let's go to SAA, for instance. Someone says, gives us a useless, unnecessary tax. From this time to this time, government has bailed out SAA with so many billions, if not trillions. So what? Because if government can't subsidize that thing, all of you here, my black brothers and sisters, you will never go to Cape Town because those things are going to be very expensive. It's very expensive SAA with subsidy. Can you imagine an SAA without subsidy? SAA without subsidy. So government, when it bails out, is actually making us to be in a position as black people to fly. Because if government doesn't put money in that thing, it will be all exclusively used by white people because it's only white people who can afford in South Africa. Me and you are going to be subjected to trains and taxis and buses to go to Cape Town. So they come with huge figures so that you can But that is money that makes us to be able to fly in that airline. Now they're going to, solidarity has applied that SAA must be put under business rescue. That's what a new dawn is doing. Dismantle this thing, makes it look like it doesn't have potential so that you sell it, and then our people who have put money in the CR campaign, they can go and catch it from the other side. It's a javelin. You think a person can put 1 billion in a campaign and not expect to be paid back that money? They want their investment back. This is an open, pure state capture happening right in front of our eyes, but because it is done by whites with the assistance of some few Indians, it's acceptable. It's acceptable. And you people come and say, where's the EFF? It was shouting the loudest with Zuma. Where's the EFF? Where's your vote? Why are you not asking the people you voted for? This blackmail that people always put on the EFF must come to an end. You didn't vote for us. You voted for them. You voted for a new dawn. I leave Cyril. Yeah. Hack. What the rookies? You are in trouble. So we are not responsible for this mess. Stop asking, where is the EFF? I voted for the EFF. This is not what I voted for. After tweeting you voted for the EFF, we go to your to your tweet account. There is an option there, timeline, that option, media. We simply go to media, and then your pictures come up. We scroll them back to 6 months. We don't find a single picture of you and the EFF during election time. And you claim you voted for EFF. You think we are fools. RET members. Hey, I voted. No more. I can't vote EFF. EFF wants Banner Boy. Hey, I don't want Banner Boy. EFF wants. Hey. I support AKA. I voted for EFF. But AKA was an ANC mascot. When you support AKA at the same time you voted for EFF, we quickly go and check. Can you check who's this person? There is no single picture of EFF. Some of you, I voted for EFF, you've got a picture with Cyril. And you think we are fools like that. We're not going to listen. We're not going to be blackmailed. You voted for Cyril. You voted for this. You were saying, we're not voting ANC, we're voting Cyril. We're not voting Cyril, we're voting ANC. Welcome to South Africa, where white males are in charge. And you must know they don't play those ones. Once they go in, procurement is going to be white. Look at where he comes from. It's not a man of transformation. Look at his management where he comes from in that company. All white. Welcome to South Africa of white people, which Cyril has handed over. So we know the EFF people. We know the EFF voter. We know what the EFF voter wants and what the EFF voter doesn't want. There is no EFF voter that can change a vote on the basis that Malema tweeted support for Banner Boy. You are a useless voter. That type of a voter you want. That changes vote on the basis that leadership has flu. We change votes on the basis that leaders are going to Durban in July. Not where in the manifesto did they say leaders can't go to Durban in July? Well, it means you don't vote for manifesto, you don't read. Read next time so that you vote wisely. Please. So, this problem our country is confronted with is not of our own making. Two people we must blame. Cyril and Praveen. Those are your people, those are your favorites. They can't resolve unemployment. They can't resolve the economy. They can't resolve the SOEs. The situation is becoming worse and worse. Zuma is long gone. And the way they are going about it, very soon people will be singing praises for Zuma. Under Zuma it was not like this one. That's where it's going. That's where it's going, when you are going to force people to start glorifying criminals. Because your favorites are failing, and when they fail, you don't expose them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Should I take more, President?
That's one. There's 1, 2.
1, 2, yeah. Kevin, you want to come back? Yeah, speak up.
Okay, thank you. It's still me, Gavin from NCA. If you could,
Gavin lost an application yesterday in court. Can't make a good lawyer.
Yeah, that's why I'm journalism. Okay, there's an issue from the inaugural conference, Mr. Malema. The moment when the delegates were standing up saying they've noticed others are standing up with a piece of paper nominating according to a slate, it was a big issue at the inaugural conference. What are you going to do to make sure that doesn't happen again? And then an issue maybe you could relate to Mr. Malema. Look, there are a number of EFF members that have been expelled from the party in between the first and this conference coming up. Among them in KwaZulu-Natal, Lungi Kabuza, who is a former provincial command team member. But the question that I have is, will the EFF allow any of the expelled members to come and make their case to the National People's Assembly as to why they shouldn't have been expelled, or if that expulsion can be appealed at a national conference? And then thirdly, at the inaugural conference, one of the big resolutions that was taken and overwhelmingly supported was the EFF members' call for military training. I don't know whether there's been any implementation of that. I remember quite well that there was a resolution to that regard. Unless I'm wrong, then fine. And then lastly, Mr. Malema, if you can answer on this is a personal issue. The NPA is proceeding with charges against On-Point Engineering directors, but they've chosen to open a separate investigation into the management of the Ratanan Family Trust. What's your take on the resumption of that case by the NPA? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ENCA. Thank you, Shannon from Vilagasi. I just want to wish the outgoing treasurer of EFF well. You are the most hated person in this room because people have tried to get financials for years, they didn't get it, so we ran a tight ship on that one. We in the media, so we know the discussions people are having, so well done on that one, and compliments on that. My question on the media, the elephant in the room, the line item on the documents, the policy documents, is the discussion of the media, the discussion of multi-choice. But in the discussion of multi-choice, it automatically goes to the discussion of PSL. And then automatically it goes to the discussion of the fourth industrial revolution. Now, as you see, most of my colleagues here, they have these big, expensive cameras. But fourth industrial revolution, worldwide, you use a simple laptop with software international and you broadcast to the world. So will EFF consider the legal framework, or it's not even the legal framework because there's no legislation in South Africa against using international software, but against educating people about software that's out there to broadcast to 2 million people without an OB van, without an SABC truck and so on. So on the line item of the media, will EFF go deeper into that and look at the fourth industrial revolution, the technology that's available there? Currently, the 5G from China as well. The media industry in South Africa is holding back that technology for a reason that they still owe old equipment. Nasrec still owe printing machines. So Black Star bought a building of 100 million, but nowadays you can run a media house from a room this size and broadcast to more than 2 million people. Will EFF consider the technology that's available in America, that's available in China, to broadcast in the policy context? Thank you.
Okay, that's final, President.
Thank you.
Next time.
No, I wanted to but it's fine.
Okay. Expelled members will not be excluded from making their case to the NPA. It's the constitution. But they don't come to the NPA, they write. So they write to the NPA. You remember when we were expelled in the ANC, we wrote to the Mangaung and Gwede decided to sit on the Tiger decided to sit on on our letter. Yeah, so that's it. And then Kabuza wanted to go to Parliament and started defying. And someone was saying the city presser came. She defied bullying of the EFF. It's not bullying. You must go and read the list processes. They said the people who have a final say of who goes into Parliament, even when the list conference is done, is the officials. It's an EFF policy. The people who have a final say of who goes to Parliament is the officials of the EFF after listening to what are the views of the people on the ground. That's how a policy is formulated. It comes like this. Then there's a final decision taken at that level. That was presented even openly in the list conference, that guys, whatever you are doing here, you must know it's not final. The leadership is going to re-look into this thing, reprioritize and all that. And we're not removing her from the list. We're saying it's not your turn. We're thinking you must resign so that we can re-gazette a new list and put these two up because we want them to go in. Then you guys can follow after that, as required by Parliament. But she refused. And you can't refuse the decision of the organization. She doesn't have a seat. She is not entitled to any seat. No father of hers bought a seat in Parliament. She must know that she will never get it. She can go to hell, she will never get that seat. It's a seat of the EFF. Her and her friends, all of them combined, can go to hell. She will never get that seat. It's gone. It's an EFF seat. It's not a family seat. So, anyone in the EFF is subjected to that discipline of the leadership. We take a decision, we communicate, you must abide by that decision. It's in the Constitution. And if you have a problem with that, don't join. Don't join the EFF. Resign from the EFF. We try to say this all the time. We are running this thing from here, from this table here. You don't want, you can go. That's how it works. I'm not going to have a headache here with a careerist who think that the resolution of their unemployment status is a shortcut through the EFF list to council, to legislature, or to Parliament. She once called me and I told her on the phone that type of, the EFF doesn't need the people like you. It is the type, the people like you who are not needed in the EFF. It is this type we don't want in the EFF, who cry to go to Parliament. You know I'm in Parliament now. The EFF can come tomorrow and say, Chief, please resign. We need this seat. I will resign. We did that to Sipho Mbata and Mukausi. Mabatu Mukausi. We went to them and said, comrades, you have not been performing to the satisfaction of the organization. Please resign from Parliament. They resigned. Sipho decided to go and join UDM. Mabatu stayed in the party, worked for the party. She's now back in Parliament here because of her discipline. She said, I'm not here for those things of posts. I'm not here for Parliament. I'm here to work for the party. We removed her. She continued working on the ground in Free State and everywhere else she was deployed. She's back in Parliament. She's now the whip of the EFF in the NCOP. Sipho, who came for food. When the plate was taken away from him, he left and thought he was powerful. EFF was nothing without him. We actually achieved more votes where Sipho Mbata comes from in KwaZulu-Natal without him, just to show him that he's not the EFF. So, Nghabusa, you tell me about Nghabusa. Who's Nghabusa? Nghabusa. Who's this one? We dealt with people before her who thought they were powerful. Mutletam went to form his own party because he didn't comply with the discipline of the organization. He didn't. Where is his party now? He's nowhere. Ramakata, the first coordinator of the EFF, who thought he was the most powerful man, nowhere. So, Gabusa, we're going to have a headache from Gabusa. No ways, it's not going to happen that. We've expelled a lot of members, a lot. And I think we have not done enough. We should have expelled more. We should have expelled more. We are at a formative stage. So at a formative stage, you say, these are unacceptable practices, so that those who come after, they know that this is unacceptable and they don't do it. We don't tolerate ill discipline in the EFF. There are still more. Some of them are violating the rules of the NPA now because they think they are powerful. So we are at a formative stage. We are running a tight ship. We discipline and we deal with those who don't obey discipline decisively. We have not forced anyone in the EFF. There is no such a thing as military training resolution. So my brother, there's a difference between a gossip and resolutions. So there is no such a thing. You can go read the resolutions of the EFF. They are available on the website. It's not there. The slate, you can't stop people from having slate. You know, comrades, EFF is too big. But the problem is that it's new also. We don't know each other. This one, where's that place where we buried the mother? Eh? In King William's Town. He comes from King William's Town. There's the one who comes from Musina. They've never met. Now, we want Dalimpof. King William's Town wants Dalimpof in the CCT. Musina wants a Chifiwa. Eh? They can't even pronounce each other's names. Or you want what? The best they do is to write slates amongst themselves and exchange. You can't say to people, don't use this slate, don't use it. But you cannot allow the slates in the voting booth, including taking the ballot paper, a picture of how you voted. Those who are not going to allow. But the slates are used for easy reference. They are actually used more during nomination because people have lobbied each other. Then they say, I nominate Chifiu. Dalia has already been nominated. When you are covered Eastern Cape, you sit like this. Every Chifiu, you even forget Chifiu. But when you have that thing with Chifiu, is that one we agreed when we were doing the trade-offs, that when they support us, we'll support them. Lobbying is not criminal. In the EFF, people are going to lobby, they will have to exchange names, they have to write them down, but only here in Nasrec. Not on Facebook, not on Twitter, not on Instagram or social media. They will do their things here in Nasrec for easy reference. So we must not just become a police organization. Hey, I show you the small paper. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Bring them. Search them. We don't want small papers here. No, it's practically impossible. They will tell you, hey Mona, I've lobbied Western Cape people. They gave me names, I gave them names. Now, I can't remember all those names. How many additionals do we have? 40, SG. 40, 50, 35, plus top 6. 40 people, I must remember all those people. They are not from my village. I didn't grow up with them. We are doing trade-offs. We are lobbying each other. What is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong. As long as that is not used as a way of saying the central command has taken a decision that this is the list. The CIC has taken a decision. This is the list. There's no such a list. And if you are given a list and you are told it's the officials who said this is the list, it's the CIC who said this is the list, and you take it as is, then it means you are a fool who doesn't deserve to represent his branch here. So why must we blame you for your foolishness? When you are given a list and they say it's a CIC list, you must say, no, I can hear you, but I've got my names. I have my names as well. Yeah, my names. You give me yours, I give you yours. I'll give you mine. Yeah, I'm a member, I've got a right to express myself. I'm not going to be told by anyone, including the CIC, when it comes to voting. So that central command thing, democratic centralism, comes to an end when the voting starts. There's no democratic centralism which can tell people who to vote for and how to vote for that person. It's not going to happen. It's like these people who are going around lobbying provinces and regions and say, no, we've agreed as a PCT that this is how we're going to vote. It's wrong. It means you don't have politics. It means you don't know how to convince people. That's why you tell them the decisions of higher structure are binding on lower structure. It doesn't work when it comes to election. That theory is wrong. It's unacceptable. Branches must not listen to such nonsense. They must exercise their democratic right. There is no PCT, there is no RCT, there is no CCT decision which is binding on any delegate. All delegates coming here, they are representing their branches and they must vote anyhow they see fit. They must not listen to nonsense of the decision of a higher structure is binding on lower structures. I think the 4IR and how the media can go about it is a very good input, which we deal with it as well in both in the economy and in communication. But my brother as well is welcome to make that input as well in our statement as indicated to our website on how can we, make sure that our media is compliant with fourth industrial revolution and stop bringing trucks and there's no space for trucks here. You are now learning that you can actually do the work of the trucks through a small room with a sophisticated, well-equipped laptops and facilities. So it's a welcomed input, and I want to really thank you very much, and I want to encourage you to register on the 9th and make sure if you have not registered on the 9th, on the 12th, so that we don't have a headache with the media. We have told the security they must be very sensitive when they deal with you, because you are fragile, and you are also using the Equality Act. You are that type of groups which are vulnerable. You are one of the vulnerable groups. That's why your input to the court. You are a vulnerable group, so you must be treated very well, with special rights. So we said to them, please don't even push any journalist. When they try to push back, you must say to them, my sister, I'm doing your job, you are doing your, keep on reminding her, I'm doing my job and she's doing her job, and try to find each other. But we're going to try and make it smooth and try to make you have access to every area where you want to have access to, and interview anyone you want to interview, because we are hiding nothing from our people. We just want to run a dignified conference. Some of these measures is to try and protect the image of the EFF so that it comes out intact and people love it more. It's not necessarily to try and hide anything. You want to talk to anyone, that's it. My brother asked me about NPA. NPA has decided to take the decision they've taken, and there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing more to comment about it. And I'm in a permanent investigation. The state wants to get this or that on me for obvious reasons. The positions I hold, which contradict what they hold. I'm very interested, Chair, to hear administration of the Random Trust, which I did badly. What is that? So I will hear when the NPA conducts its own business. The NPA has never spoken to me, by the way, that I will be charged later or I will be charged. And I got that from the social media, that issue that the NPA has taken, the letter that the NPA has taken a decision. So that's our life. I'm not worried about any of these things. I've not done anything wrong. My grandmother died saying, that's me. I've never taken anything from anyone. That's why they have a difficulty pinning me down with any other issue. Even with the gun, they try everything and bring all types of things, even with funeral. They now issue out a video where there is a scuffle between us and the white guy, but they don't show you when the car arrives and lands. They only show you a scuffle. They don't show you what happened. Can you imagine people just getting out of the car? That's how crazy we are. We just got out of the car and started pushing with the gun. They don't show you what happened there. A clear provocation at my mother's funeral, where I'm being blocked from burying my mother. Clear provocation. So they thought they would get something there. So every little thing we do, they will try and pin it down. And we're not going to stop being human beings. We'll stop our pillar because we're scared, hey, if you go that side, they may find you there. If you go that side, we're not going to be scared. We're continuing with our lives. Our phones are being packed. We can't have a conversation. When you drive a conversation, all types of things happen on our phones. So we know our phones are bad. In Cape Town, I actually showed journalists a court judgment where a judge gave them powers to listen to my phone. So there's a judgment which has been obtained by secret agents to listen to my phone. It's our lifestyle. We're not complaining. It comes with the territory. We'll do the same when we're in power. You want to know the movement of your opponents. What are they planning? You must always be ahead of them. So when you form an opposition, you must anticipate that the state will always want to know, what are you up to? As long as they do it legally, as long as they don't use the state resources to settle political scores like rogue unit, it can happen. Yesterday, the News 24 sent me questions. Those questions are matters that were in the discussion between me and SARS. You can see they went to take Ernest Johan van Lochenberg. He went to take that information and gave it a SARS information and gave it to journalists because they are not happy with the NPA decision. Then he says, there is new information. I'm like, it's no new information. This was a discussion in SARS. They went to take SARS information, which, by the way, the SARS Act says that information can't be used anyway. They went to take that information. They are continuing with that rogue element. Gave it to the News 24 and say, ask him about this. I can tell you now, News 24, I want to answer you. I want to answer nonsense. No, I want to answer questions of the rogue unit. Because News 24 is working with rogue unit. And you are lucky we won't ban you. But you are working with the rogue unit, we are aware, we know. So I don't have a problem answering a question of a journalist, a proper journalist, not a rogue element. Huh? No, not a rogue element, not embedded journalism. That's how Pravin thrives. You remember when he dissolved Limpopo, he put journalists in a bus, went to address them in Limpopo, and then from there put them in a bus, brought them back. When he wanted to answer, there were no journalists. They are driven in a luxury bus. That's how embedded journalism works. One side of the story, you disappear. And he thinks we don't know how you go. Pravin has made a lot of comrades suffer. We, this generation, have taken a conscious decision to fight him. He must take a decision to end his tendencies, or else we're fighting him to the grave until we die. If it means prison, fighting Pravin, let's go to prison. But we're not going to succumb to Pravin. He has been doing this nonsense for far too long. Those ANC cowards are scared of him. UDF tags, those cowards are scared of him. They're scared of Pravin. We took a decision not to be scared of Pravin and to take him on. You can defend him anyhow you want, but the guy is leading a state capture in South Africa. And the ANC people can't do anything, including COSATU. Why? Praveen has got everything on them through the rogue unit. We asked Praveen a question. Did Werksman pay your accommodation and flights in London where you went to fundraise for Cyril Ramaphosa? Till today, he has not answered that question. We are in Parliament, we ask ministers questions, they don't answer questions, you can't do anything. That is trauma enough for you. When it comes to Parliament, we stop him from talking because he's not answering our questions. You say EFF is disruptive. But we are there for them to answer questions. And when they don't answer questions, we have to apply different methods now. And that's what will happen to Praveen. We're not scared of Praveen. And we'll never be scared of Praveen. We know how powerful Praveen is. We know how powerful Praveen is. We don't underestimate him, but we're prepared to pay that price. If you're going to be told by Praveen how you should elect your leaders of EFF through the media, how you should look at EFF leaders through the media that is controlled by Praveen, you can go on. But we fought these battles before. Age is on our side, or on his case. You must know that we will never retreat. We have nothing personal against Praveen. We have a problem with his racist tendencies of paging African leaders. We have a problem with that. And will not retreat now. He must know that, his cause must know that we're on him and will never retreat. When we're not talking or taking a fight to him, you must know we're still catching the breath. Because it's very difficult to find a man. Capital, he's got capital, the whole capital behind him. The whole white monopoly capital is behind him, solid behind him. And that capital is the one that owns and controls the media. So we understand all those dynamics, all of them. We understand these attacks on the leadership of the EFF and the EFF itself because it is the only party that takes on the white capital head on and its representatives. You say we are soft on Cyril. Just wait. You will see. Cyril can try and hide things. It's just a matter of time. And I said to ANC people, this delay, unfortunately, is going to land you into another election year where judgments are going to be passed during an election year and they won't be in your favor. There is no court which is going to say the files must be closed, sealed forever. Never. There is no such a court. By the way, we've got those files. If they refuse, if the court refuses, we'll find another method. They must ask the rogue unit report, which they were refusing with it. If they refuse with that, we are just respecting the process. But if the process is going to be such that the people are being favored unfair, we'll find another alternative platform to expose these shenanigans. Just a matter of time. If you have nothing to hide, Cyril, why are you not agree that those documents must be opened at the courts? And let's see who put money in the CR17 and where did that money go. It's not only the putting, it's also the receiving. Who received that money? Thank you.
Thank you, President. Thank you, guys. The refreshments are served at the back. And see you on the 9th at UJ campus for registration. Thank you.